All right, today we're going to talk about Donald Trump's enemies, and it's not who you think it is. Maybe it's not the Democrats. Maybe it's the Doomers. Come on, stick around. The Gene Ho Show coming up. Welcome, everyone, to the Gene Ho Show, and we have a great show for you today. We're going to talk about Donald Trump and who his enemies are. He actually just called them out publicly, but it's interesting because when you have all of this, was this all part of something that he already knew a long time ago? We'll talk about Donald Trump, Bongino, and all of this. Now, very interesting, and I want to thank you for joining me on this because I get the chance to show off to you my new website. It's actually brand new. It's geneho.com. Of course, you've seen it before, but it's been newly updated. With that, you can see this show, the Gene Ho Show, there weekly, wherever you watch it. We also will post it there. And there's also a new feature because it's called Snap-a-Pic School. I'm going to teach you how to take quality professional level photos from your cell phone. Bunches of lessons. I put them up every week. All right. It's a way to get you on to geneho.com so you can see this, see these lessons. And also, we have a new publication at George Magazine coming up with a lot of photos that I've taken, many with my cell phone. And I'm going to show you how I did all these things so you can do the same thing with your cell phone. So a lot of things going on. Of course, we are at the Blaze Web Services studio here, brand new, fixed up, and come on, you have to be like, whoa, Gene Ho, your audio works. Had to figure out how to do all this stuff, and we did. We figured out a lot of stuff, and now the studio is up and running with all the tests to make sure it's good. Sound check is good. All right, let's talk about Donald Trump. Now, this is how it worked before. You have a person, he's an outsider, and what you want is that outsider to become president of the United States. In order to do that, Donald Trump did something unprecedented. He took the Republican Party and molded it in his image. So when you see the Republican Party now, it is truly Donald Trump's Republican Party. It's no longer, and no offense to him, but no longer the Republican Party of the Bush Empire is now molded this way. So the Republican Party is Donald Trump. So when you see the Republican Party the way it is now, quite frankly, that's Donald Trump's party. Now, a funny thing happened along the way. During this time, when Donald Trump became running for president, and when he became president, there was an influx of what we call today MAGA influencers. And these people built up big followings based upon their support of Donald Trump. I get it, all right? I am one of those that people know who I am because of my association with the campaign with Donald Trump. I get that fully. I also get that I had a full operating career before all of this, and that career is a Zippo because of my connections in politics. Quite frankly, people don't want me, Gene Ho, showing up at their wedding because when they see me, they're like, oh my goodness, this person loves Donald Trump or hates Donald Trump. We hate Donald Trump. And then they don't like me being there. So that whole career, 25 years, is now gone. But that's why you could go to geneho.com and check out all the fun stuff there. Now, what is new in this is midway, all right? When I say midway, I mean like right now, after Donald Trump became president the second time, a lot of people suddenly turned. This is not a lot of normal people. And I say normal relatively because I'm also involved in other communities. The homesteading community, which is fully supporting Donald Trump and fully conservative for the most part. But these people continue to support our president, Donald Trump. However, some of these influencers have turned on Donald Trump. You could call them doomers because these are people that say, oh my goodness, Donald Trump is bad. Everyone is bad. Don't vote. Stay home. They're doomers with that. And they're also called black pillars. However, there are still some MAGA influencers that fully support Donald Trump. And those ones are calling out these doomers. The thing with it, though, is Donald Trump took one of these videos and posted it on his Truth Social. And this is what, in part, it said. Greg, roll it!
This is what you voted for. So why are you questioning every decision he makes now that he's back in office? God didn't save his life so he could make mistakes. He knows what he's doing. Maybe it's time to shut the fuck up and let him cook. This has been a public service announcement paid for by the Dilly Meme team.
Okay, that video was made by Brendan Dilly, and he posted it there. And of note, there were 9 influencers that are traditionally MAGA that they called out, that is Brendan Dilly, for being people that are doomers or black pillars or whatever. So they're saying, this is Dilly, and Trump reposted it, hey, what in the world's going on here? You wanted this, and now you're turning on Donald Trump. By the way, we'll talk about it a little bit later on, but it has, I bet, a lot to do with the midterms, because a lot of the media is saying, oh, all of this, MAGA is leaving Trump. We are going to do a poll soon on GeorgiaMagazine.com. Basically, do you still support Donald Trump, or are you one of these people that's saying, oh, everyone hates Donald Trump, MAGA hates Donald Trump? We'll see. We'll see. But the thing is, the vast majority of the people still support Donald Trump. But this small group of mostly MAGA influencers are now saying, hey, we don't like Donald Trump. Oh, actually, we do like Donald Trump, but we're questioning him. See, they're afraid to tiptoe through past the line to say that they hate Donald Trump. He's bad, because the vast majority of Americans still support Donald Trump. Now, here's the thing. This is not anything new. Way back in July, I said that this would happen. Not only did I say it would happen, someone else, a very interesting poster online, said it would happen exactly the way it's happening right now. Greg, roll it!
Sudden turn on President Trump. And all right, are you ready for some uncanny timing? Because I wrote this back in May. Think about that. All assets deployed. Watch those in the news that you trust as patriots all of a sudden turn on President Trump and the administration. Remember, I wrote that back in May. Now, look what's happening today. You see exactly that thing going on, but where did we first see it? This is interesting because of this. All assets deployed, some that formerly, and you would think, that supported Trump are really sleeper cells. They pose as Trump supporters, but in the perfect timing, which is right now, they turn. So when people start to say that there's no plan, it's happening, and it's happening right now.
Okay, so that was posted a while back ago, and the first message with that, I think it was back in May. I thought it was July, but it was even before that all assets are deployed. In other words, a lot of people that used to say that they like Donald Trump, and they always use the phrase, I voted for him 3 times. Come on, you have to listen to me. I voted for him 3 times, but I can no longer support him. Anyway, that is the definition per se of a doomer. And the other thing about it is, even Donald Trump on his Truth Social posted that, I had to bleep out the F word, but posted that basically saying, hey, this is what I've done. Support me, because everything that's happening now is for a so-called plan. All right, I threw in the word plan there, but it seems interesting because a lot of people said that this person, Dan Bongino, oh, we only spent a year there. Oh, we only spent a year with the FBI. Maybe it's interesting that he's coming back now. Greg, roll it!
I want people to know something. You told me privately when you did go in that you were likely there for 1 year just to try and get things on track, and then you did not have a desire to stay there a long time. I want people to know that.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to come in there. I figured it was going to take about a year to reorganize, get some accountability back, get the refocus from what they were doing. I say when I get in there were 2 FBIs, Sean. There was one that had been fully weaponized and trained to focus on all the wrong things. Then you had the other guys, the door kickers, the guys who were out there breaking up violent gangs, chasing terrorists.
All right, so that's Dan Bongino. As you know, he's back on the air and he's back broadcasting. And it's interesting because he's going after the black pillars, or I say the doomers, people that say, hey, this is worthless. Let's not even vote. Let's just forget about it. Don't support Donald Trump anymore, I should say. But the thing is, there's a very important thing going on, and it's the midterm elections. Donald Trump has many things in play. He put many things in order. You could see it. Kash Patel is arresting many people. Are there things that need work? Yes. But, for example, with Minneapolis, he put in a new person, Tom Homan there. He's making the adjustments where necessary. This is the president of the United States. The other thing about it makes you wonder why all these people suddenly at the same time have turned on Donald Trump. This makes you wonder. Anyway, when we get back, we're going to talk more about this and find out who else Donald Trump's at war with. We're going to talk about this in a little bit. The Gene Ho Show coming back. Hey friends, I want to tell you about the Dispatch. Some of you guys already know about this, but you're going to love it. Basically, every weekday morning, you get emailed to you the day's leading stories, curated personally by me, Dave Blaze, and the rest of the George Magazine team. Very simply, it goes into your email. You can browse them very quickly, find out the day's top stories so you can get on with your day. So go to georgemagazine.com. You'll see there the Dispatch link in the menu. Sign up, and then every weekday morning before 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, you get this email in your inbox, and you can read it, know what's relevant for today, and get started with your day. Welcome back, everyone, to the Gene Ho Show, and thank you very much for joining me once again. If you enjoy this type of content, go to georgemagazine.com and sign up for the Dispatch every morning, or at least Monday through Friday. You'll get an email in the morning. It's very neat because these stories are the stories that we want to bring to you and bring to your attention, sometimes for a very good reason. We talk about it later on that same night on YouTube. Just go to YouTube and search American Pulse Podcast, and you can see our live show there. A lot of stuff going on, and I want to thank you for being a supporter of George Magazine and understanding and breaking it down for you, all this information. Okay, as a recap of the first segment, this is what's the new reality, that you have a segment of the MAGA podcasters that have been split in two. Dan Bongino is calling them the black pillars, and you'll know this because they're saying there's no hope for this. The government is overrun by the deep state. Trump is a deep state, whatever they're saying. However, what's going on is this. This is exactly everything that MAGA Nation wanted, and to prove it, you have people in the general populace that still support Donald Trump. We'll have a George Magazine poll. We'll put it out there, see what it is, and see if people actually still support Donald Trump, because it seems to be that there are these small group of people, for whatever reason, quite frankly, all right, we'll just go there. Quite frankly, some of them may just well be sleeper cells that were put in there to build up a great big following. So at any time they can pull the rug under them and say, convince people, hey, Donald Trump is secretly bad. He's part of the deep state. He's part of the problem. So don't vote in the elections. The elections are rigged or whatever. It's interesting because to finish what Donald Trump has started, he really does, gotta say it this way, he really does need the House and the Senate in the midterm elections. If he loses one of them, it's going to be impeachment city, all right? So it's quite frankly, he could still do his job, but it's not going to be the way he wants it or the way it should be. And that will ruin his legacy, or can ruin his legacy. So you have these people, at the worst, sleeper cells that always posed to be Trump supporters. Now, we're reasonable, right? It's certainly not 100% of these doomers, right? But it's not zero. I said it before, it's not zero. None of them, zero of all these influencers, zero that they didn't go in there with this mission to pose as Trump supporters to later on turn against Donald Trump. Zero. That never happened. None of these people that you know are part of that. Just being reasonable here, because it's not 100%. Some authentically say, hey, I wanted to support him, but I don't support him anymore. Fine. But Donald Trump is now calling these people out, and Dan Bongino is as well. But there's even more than that, because the Republican Party is now fully Donald Trump's. And when there's a dissenter in there, he doesn't want them there. All right? So you have people like Congressman or Massey, who basically is going against Trump. And you have other people supporting Massey because, as a congressperson, very strong. There's only so many of them, right? And so Donald Trump does not want him there. So he has endorsed someone else during the primary. We'll talk about it right after this. Greg, roll it!
And won big 6 times must be thrown out of office ASAP. The Post goes on to say, quote, the incredible people of Kentucky's 4th Congressional District gave us a mandate to make America great again, and the person that will help us do that is Navy SEAL, Army Ranger, and 5th-generation Kentucky farmer Captain Ed Gallren, a true America First patriot. That seat is on the ballot in November of 2026.
All right, one thing of note. Yes, November 26th. However, the actual primary, Republican versus Republican, is in May. So you have that there. It says, oh, its contest is in November. Yes, right? Republican versus Democrat. But the real battle is in May. And that's what we're here to tell you about, so people know how the system works. Now, the thing is, you have Thomas Massey, and just saying, many of these doomers and black pillars support Massey. For whatever reason, I get it. Oh, he's fiscally whatever. Okay, all right, I get it. However, Donald Trump says this person, in essence, is a thorn in my flesh. He's a thorn. He goes against everything I'm doing, so I want him out. That is control of the Republican Party. Now, to battle him, so to speak, he has this candidate who, and it's crazy, this person is not only an ex-Navy SEAL, he is an ex-Army Ranger. So 2 elite fighting force resume. Navy SEALs is already hard enough, but this person is a Navy SEAL and an Army Ranger, or was, and he is now running for a congressional seat, Massey seat, and the battleground is going to be in May. You heard it say, hey, this is for the seat in November. Yeah, it is. But the battleground is going to be in May. Now, here's the thing, all right? As proof of what it is, and you can take this here and then play it back later. When it comes to the primary, you're going to have people that support Massey, who, by the way, has a $2 million war chest. That's about how much money he's taken in. It's a lot of money. The other guy, the Army Ranger and Navy SEAL, ex-Navy SEAL, ex-Army Ranger, he has the support of Donald Trump and some super PACs that are aligned with Donald Trump. This is going to be a battle. But the thing that's going to be interesting is, if after this is said and done, will the people, however it's done, that support Massey, will they say, listen, we lost the primary, the people have spoken, so let's support Ed to be the next congressman? Or will they support the Democrat or say, don't even vote, forget voting, don't even vote? It's going to be interesting. So you have all of this coming into play. Donald Trump is doing battle with another Republican, but that's because Donald Trump wants to control the Republican Party. That's what he transformed it with. And he's controlling almost all aspects of it, so to speak. There are dissenting voices every once in a while. They are their own people. Not all are just puppets all the way and say whatever Donald Trump wants. But Donald Trump feels like this person, Thomas Massey, is going against Trump too much, and he wants him out of the primary. Now, the thing is, whoever wins the primary there is probably going to be the next congressman there anyway, because it's a district most likely filled with conservatives anyway. But it's just interesting. Now, there's one more aspect of this, because one of the things that some in MAGA Nation don't understand, and we have been saying this for a very long time, that the state elections do mean something. You can see from this video, Greg, roll it!
Funny because I won Indiana all 3 times by a landslide, and I wasn't working on it very hard. Would have been nice. I think we would have picked up 2 seats if we did that. You had one gentleman, the head of the Senate, I guess, Bray, whatever his name is. I heard he was against it. He'll probably lose his next primary, whenever that is. I hope he does, but because he's done a tremendous disservice. I mean, think of it. It's a great place. I love the people there. They love me. We won in a landslide all 3 times.
Okay, so what's going on here and why is Donald Trump caring about it? One of the things that has been amiss with many of the supporters of MAGA, and I said this many times over because I am a supporter of MAGA when I vote and when I get into it, and I'm special like the rest of you when I say most of us in MAGA never cared about or got involved in politics until Donald Trump came onto the scene. That's what's so special about him. Then what happened is the segment of MAGA had to meld itself in to the Republican Party, so to speak. So there's many MAGA, quite frankly, like me, that really don't know or didn't know at the time how the government works. But the state elections are very important because they come into play with what goes on nationally. You've seen it before where you have some places like Virginia that they turned so Democrat in the state legislature that they have what's called a super majority, which means they could get things done the Democrat way very quickly. Now, of course, there are other places that are overwhelmingly Republican, states that are almost all Republican, and they also do the same thing. Even on the state level, they can do things to help out an American president, which is, of course, you know, of the federal branch, basically of the federal part of the United States of America. People, mostly some in MAGA, don't understand how these two work together. But notice Donald Trump, so to speak, going to war with the state level of Indiana. And he wants them primaried, and he will go out there and campaign against some of these people in the primary because he feels like by them turning and snubbing their nose, quite frankly, for whatever reason, at Donald Trump is impeding what Donald Trump is doing. That is very much what Donald Trump is showing off his power of what he does. He wants control, and is legally so, but he wants people in the Republican Party to vote his way, and that's what he's working to do. Okay, lots still to talk about. When we come back, we're going to wrap it all up for you and tell you what you need to look for in the future. Stick around, The Gene Ho Show, coming back. Hey friends, I want to tell you about Azure Standard because if you're like me, you want your food clean, healthy, no GMO, stuff like that. Now, for me, it's pretty easy because I have my own homestead, have our own eggs, chicken, all that stuff. But there's still some things I can't get almost anywhere, so I use Azure Standard. I've been using them for about a year now. It's very simple. Just go to azurestandard.com, scroll through it, buy what you want. The way we get it shipped to us is we use a drop point. Very simple. Once a month, we pick it up at this drop point, and the best part about it, we meet a lot of people like-minded, like me and you, who care about our food, making sure it's healthy, and we meet a lot of friends that way. So check them out, azurestandard.com. Welcome back, everyone, to the Gene Ho Show, and thank you once again for your support of George Magazine and me, myself. Don't forget, I have a new website. All right, it's been there, but it's fully updated, geneho.com, and there, just for fun, you can see all the video lessons of Snap a Pic. This way you can see all the beautiful photos that are going to be on display later on. We have a new publication, just teasing it out for you coming up, but you can learn how to do exactly that, exactly what I did, and I'll show you in different lessons straight from your cell phone and also tell you why the cell phone, in some ways, not always, but in some ways, is superior to a professional level SLR camera. Okay, lot to talk about here. Reminder, here we are in the precipice, if you could say, of what it is, because these next few months with the primary and the new election coming up in the midterms, very important. As I said before, normally speaking, the president in charge at the time of the midterms gets, as Obama said, shellacked. They lose bad. As you know, right now, the Republicans have a majority in the House and the Senate. With that comes a whole kit and caboodle, because whatever party's in charge, and right now it's the Republicans, they get to determine all of the chairmanships. The reason why that's so important is because if they could say, hey, if they're Democrats, it flips over, and then they're the ones with the gavel saying, no, we will not discuss this, we will not do this, and they can put impeachment proceedings or start it with Donald Trump. And one of the more dangerous things for everybody, they could have special prosecutors go in there and investigate the president of the United States. So it's very important for Donald Trump to make sure that he wins the midterms, even though he's not on the ballot. So there are some out there who know this and, quite frankly, do not want Donald Trump to do well the rest of the way for many reasons. For many reasons. Some reasons include, quite frankly, right? All along, they've been working with the Democrats. That's one. Other ones, of course, very serious of an allegation, but it could happen. It's not zero. Some of them, not saying who or if, but some of them could be working with other countries that don't want Donald Trump because he's a thorn on their side. He's doing tariffs and everything else. So these could be another reasons. Other reasons to go against Donald Trump and to be a doomer is if you don't support Vice President Vance, because in all likelihood, Vance will run for vice president. And if you're not part of the administration now and you want someone else, maybe even Massey to be president, or Nikki Haley, whoever, you don't want Donald Trump to do really well, quite frankly, the rest of his term, because if he doesn't do well, then you have Vance coming in here and say, oh, I want to carry on the Trump legacy. And people are like, well, the Trump legacy sucked at this point because all of this stuff and nothing's getting done. So why should we vote for you? So it's very important for Trump to do well now, to make this country great again and to show it. Because if he loses the midterms, there's going to be a lot of roadblocks to do this. And so there's some people that don't want Trump to do well, because if they're frozen out of the administration now, and when I say frozen out, I mean, hey, they're not taking the calls. They're not going in there. They're not having any input in this administration. Chances are if Vice President Vance becomes president, you're probably going to still be frozen out. So they just want someone else. That could be a reason. Yes, I get it. I get it. Another reason could they all say, these doomers, hey, I did really support Donald Trump, but now I don't. Okay, fine. Fine, if that's what you're saying. But the point is, right now, Donald Trump is calling these people out and saying with Dan Bongino. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens next. Quite frankly, it's going to be very much an important next few months to watch, especially with the primaries coming up. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for watching once again. Don't forget, GeneHo.com. You can see all these new episodes there. You're watching The Gene Ho Show, and we will see you next week. Thanks for checking us out. Don't forget to go to georgemagazine.com and sign up for the Dispatch. It's free. Get the emails and the news stories. And check us out Monday through Friday, 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. You can check us out on Facebook and YouTube. We'll see you then.